Hey everybody, it's Gerwyn from ProjectLine. Today we're going to take a look at NetSuite Analytics, also known as SuiteAnalytics. So the great thing about NetSuite is that it provides you reporting tools that are easy to use, and you don't have to be a technical person or a programmer to create your own reports, pivot tables, or even dashboards. You simply drag and drop fields into your desired reports. It's really that simple. So let's take a look. So the first thing, as you can see here, we're going to go up to our top menu and we're going to click on Analytics. And what we need to do first is create a data set. As you can see here, I've got some predefined data sets in the system, and there's also some data sets that I've created. So what's a data set? A data set, think of it as all the tables that you're going to pull your fields from into your reports. So it's so easy. I'm going to show you to create one from scratch. So we're going to click on New Data Set over here. And for example, let's say we want to create a data set that looks at all my customers' sales orders that are over $100,000, where my customers are only Canadian customers. So also think of the data set as where we not only pull the tables and fields into our reports and dashboards, but also the conditions that we set on our output. Right? So for example, I want to look at the transactions data set here. I'm going to click on transactions on the bottom left over here. Oh, there's my mouse. And there's three areas on our data set screen here. On the far left here, think of all the transactional objects and tables on the left that you see down here. And then these are all the fields that you can pull from in the middle over here. And then on the right, this is our preview screen or our results screen. On the right, it's basically pulling in the most popular columns, which is basically all these columns that you see here in blue, all these fields here. It's assuming that these are the ones that you want to see, right? And if I want, I can remove any of these default columns as well. So again, we want to look at sales orders that are for Canadian customers and where those sales orders are over $100,000. So I can search, down here for those respective tables and fields, or I can just go up here very simply and type in a respective field that I want to pull into my report. For example, I'm going to type in the word mainline. So think of mainline as, it's either that information is either located at the main area of the document or it's at the line level. I want to look at the header level, the transaction amount on that sales order of that document level. So I'm going to say where mainline is equal to yes, and I apply that. And then I also want to take a look at, for example, the type of document. So I want to look at just sales orders. So I'll type in the word type. I can drag that over here, and I want to just look at sales orders. So I can just drag sales orders to the right here. And now, as you can see, like this list over here is getting smaller. It's only looking at the transactions that are related to sales orders, and you can see the type of this sales order. Now, I also want to look at the transaction amount. So I want a transaction amount that is over a transaction amount that is over, what do we say, over $100,000. So I'm just going to drag and drop that over here, and I'm going to put a condition where it's greater or equal to $100,000. I also want to look at certain locations, right? I'm only concerned about my Canadian locations in this particular data set. So if I type in location, I can drag and drop location over here into my report or into my data set. And let's say, for example, I only care about the Canadian locations, so I'm just going to pick, Edmonton, Saskatoon, Toronto, Vancouver. And I'm going to move that over to the right and then apply that. Now, for example, now you can see the preview is getting a little bit smaller. My results are getting smaller. It's only looking at, again, my Canadian locations, but if you notice, I don't see the location column here. Well, I can simply just drag and drop that location column down here. And now you'll see it's going to look at all my Canadian locations like Toronto, Saskatoon, Edmonton, etc. Okay, so I think I like this data set here, so all I'm going to do now is save it and give it a name. So I'm going to call this Canadian sales orders over $100,000. I can give it a description in here as well if I wanted to, but we'll just save that for now. So now that we've created this data set, we can create a new workbook. And think of that workbook as, a table, a pivot table, or a chart. That table is going to basically look just like our data set. It's really just the results from our data set. The pivot table allows us obviously to create pivots, much more dynamic. And then again, we can create charts like bar charts, stack charts, area charts, etc., etc. Let's have some fun. Let's create a visual chart, and then we can actually publish that chart to our dashboard. So if we click on chart, maybe the first thing we'll do is give it a name. We'll rename this, and we'll call this again Canadian SOs over $100,000. Okay. And now we see all those the results from our data set here. And all we need to do is just drag and drop that. So for example, a transaction amount, I can drop that over here into our measure. And then for example, our entity, which is our customer, we can drag that into our x-axis. And now we can start, maybe previewing what our chart is starting to look like here. So as you can see here, I've got, a couple of bar charts here representing some customers and the total sales orders, but I don't want the total sales orders. I actually want a breakdown of each sales order and also by date. So I can drag and drop the document sales order number into my series here, as well as the date. I want to see the exact date of each sales order, and I don't want it broken down by year. I actually want to see the precise date. So now when I click on preview and I see my results here, I can actually see that NetSuite has grouped all of those sales orders by customers that are over $100,000. So I can see, for customer DMC, I can see all of their sales orders over $100,000. And then on the right, for customer Hone MC, I can see all of their sales orders over $100,000. And if I hover my mouse over any of these customers, I can see, the customer, the date, the sales order number, and the transaction amount. Actually, let's have some fun here. Let's actually clean up the description here. I just want to put in total SO amount, right? And then if I click on the refresh button here, I can see that it's going to clean up the description down here. It just says total sales order amount. And again, it just looks nice and neat. So I like that. All I'm going to do now is save this. And I'm going to give this chart a name. Canadian SOs over $100,000. Okay, so I give that chart a name, and I'll save that. And now, if I go to my home screen here, I can actually push that or publish that to my dashboard. I'm just going to click on Personalize, click on Analytics, and then set up my Analytics portlet. And I can filter the portlet type. Maybe I just want to look at charts. And here it is. Here's my Canadian sales orders over $100,000. I am just going to click on Save. And then now you'll see that chart displayed nicely on your dashboard. All right. So the key takeaways here is that you don't have to be a technical person to create your charts. NetSuite's made it very easy for you. And lastly, you're going to save a lot of money now because you don't have to hire a developer or an expensive consultant to create these dashboards for you or these data sets and workbooks for you. You are now self-enabled. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll catch you on the next one.